Dude, I totally forgot about this book entirely. It was at the bottom of a stack of comic books, just waiting for me. All right, so this started off with what? Fearscape, right? I think that was the name of the first miniseries. Now here we are in a separate second miniseries, A Dark Interlude. So I'm going to try to summarize the crazy insanity. So there's another world called the Fearscape, and that's where every generation a chosen writer, author, whatever you want to say, someone who makes things, has to write a story and go do battle with humanity's greatest fear and then overcome the fear. Okay? So the first miniseries, this guy named Henry basically stole the job. He plagiarized this guy's work, and he got to be the greatest bard. Along the way, in issue 2 of A Dark Interlude, Henry ended up dead. He's still our narrator, though. Which, that may seem a little crazy to you, but in this book, I'm not so worried about those sorts of things. This book plays around a lot with meta-contextual, meta-meaning type concepts, so there's nothing straightforward about its approach, there's nothing straightforward about the narrative, it just kind of circles in on itself like an Ouroboros. At some point, it's probably going to get so weighty it collapses in on itself narratively, but I don't think we're at that point yet. So the human world is going wild. That is, oh Lord, I got to explain all this. Okay, that is the body of Arthur, whatever his name is, the guy that Henry stole stuff from, plagiarized from, but he is being inhabited by the humanity's greatest fear. So he's not that guy. And that guy had some stuff like he abused Henry, and that's why Henry got away with the stuff he got away with, and all that, whatever. His daughter owns his stuff, and also Henry's stuff, and that's his sister right there, and she owns the publishing company that published his stuff and also Henry's books, and so they've just published a sequel to Henry's book, which is Terraforming 2. You can see it right there. All right, you with me so far? Because we haven't gotten into the crazy otherworld stuff. In fact, let's just kind of skip ahead to that because there's a lot of really fun and crazy visuals going on in the otherworld. So as part of their plan to kind of save everybody, they're sending the Bard back with the Muse, and the Bard has a copy of Hamlet 2. Yeah, Hamlet 2. And this is the hero with 1,000 faces. He killed himself to become all those heroes, and he's battling all of the fears to try to keep them from going through the gate into the real world because they don't want to overrun humanity with all those fears. Okay, so that's what's going on in the other world. There's a lot more to it than that. I mean, look, Hamlet 2, right there. I wasn't kidding, bro. I wasn't kidding. What I wanted to get back to was this. So humanity's greatest fear, this fear, is sequelitis. I'm not kidding, man. That is humanity's greatest fear right here. At least that's what humanity's greatest fear is doing, is making sequels. He's like, look, why did you just write one sequel? You should have just had a continuing series of sequels. So this is just directly targeting and mocking stuff like all the Dune prequels and other books in that series. All the side stories that get told everywhere. I mean, how many Marvel and Star Wars things are there now of increasingly mediocre quality? There's a lot. The excellence is gone. Instead, we're filling life up with mediocrities. Alright, so I'm going to come over here because this dude's dialogue hurts, man. That buzz, that feeling of excitement, the train that rides forever and never stops, that can be yours again. You seek to make more. But Henry wrote no further books, so? What about long-lost manuscripts penned by ghostwriters or expanded universe titles with fresh new authors? Picture it, Henry, the brand. My niece would never agree to it. Don't let the future destroy the past. That generation cannot be allowed to remove those great works dear to us, nor silence their continued celebration. How long will Humbert and Herman remain? With an endless supply of sequels, you would be untouchable. You would be in control forever. And Arthur was your brother, and you're discovering him, championing him, creating a literary legacy. Your legacy, one you have continued with Henry, a legacy which Jill seeks to destroy. Bad men shouldn't be read. Pah! She thinks nothing of the mouths those bad men would feed. Where's the sense of sisterhood against those terrible men? She who leads you to the wolves. This guy is like hitting everything. But his ultimate thing is sequels. How many times did she refuse you Terraforming 2? And that was for a single tome. Is this to be the rest of your life, begging your niece for permission to publish books she has nothing to do with? As long as she lives, you shall suffer. And so she's just telling humanity's greatest fear to go kill her niece, which was like Henry's girlfriend, and also the guy that owns this body's daughter. And he goes to do it later on in the book, and there's lots of crazy stuff going on. And we can't even begin to touch on all the crazy stuff going on here, because if I tried to explain everything happening in this book, and this is a really funny joke here, indecipherable German ranting versus indecipherable German ranting, ah yes, philosophers. I suddenly find myself rooting for the fears. Henry, our unreliable narrator for this series and the previous series and all that, is a witty guy. And his narration is not universal, not from a godlike perspective. His narration is from his perspective, with him as the key figure. It's a great cover, isn't it? Doesn't this feel a lot like a Vertigo title from the 90s? That's the best comparison I can have. Like, this feels like the way indie comics used to be. There's a lot of thought going into this. You gotta think real hard when you read it. It's a really great book, but I certainly know this kind of writing, this story, is not for everybody. It's for me, probably not for everybody. I don't know who else this book is for, but at least I got it and I can read it. And if you're interested in, that kind of stuff, if you like the way Vertigo books used to be, like Sandman or whatever, you might just be into this stuff. And hopefully you can get digitals, because I don't think you can get this in physical copy like anymore, man. I don't think they printed that many of these, Anyway, you all take care of yourselves. You have a great day, great night, whatever you got going on. Hope to see you again next time. Until then, bye-bye.